Hi everyone, I'm Poppy, the events manager here at Unibuddy, and with it being 1 week to go until our conference, for which we just hit 1,000 bookings, I thought we'd just take 10 minutes today to sit down with Rich from Akero and chat a little bit more about their involvement in the conference. So welcome Rich, hi, welcome to our LinkedIn live session today.
Fantastic conference.
And I hear that Akero is running a workshop, is that right, at 3 p.m. Central European time and 9 a.m. Eastern time. Could you talk to us a little bit more about the topic of that workshop?
Yeah, of course I can. So the workshop's being presented by my super clever colleague Alex Calder, and the topic is increasing applications and improving conversions through marketing technology. And what that really means is he's going to be running a workshop where we're going to be answering questions for you, such as how can you track and improve return on investment on your advertising? What benefits does aligning your tech stack bring to understanding your own student recruitment process? And how can you improve your conversion rates at data capture points? So it's the tech landscape is really complex for all institutions, never mind those that may have different types of systems. So we're really going to be taking a step back from talking to you as though we're from Akero or talking to you as though we're at a Unibuddy conference, and just taking a step back and working with you on aligning whatever tech systems you have to be able to answer some of those questions.
That sounds fab. And do you think, I know it's a bit cheeky, but can you give us a sneak peek into what you think attendees can take away or learn from that session?
Yeah, sure. So by going through loads of questions and by showing you how you can align your technologies, attendees are going to be able to understand what their funnel stages are, where they might experience drop-offs at various stages of their campaigns, where might there be choke points. For example, are you having a big choke point between a live event such as an open day going into an application stage, or perhaps you're having a choke point at getting in applications, but maybe your admissions teams aren't being able to speak with or speak to prospective students? And where are those high drop-off points between your applications and enrolments? And how do your technologies all come together to be able to understand that? So there's some very, very cool tech systems in the market at the moment, and lots of people are using them. So things like Akero, obviously, and then Unibuddy, but also perhaps booking systems like Calendly, Meet and Engage for live events, all sorts of different systems that all sorts of institutions are using. And if you don't align those systems, you're not getting a better look at what your data is telling you. So you might be missing out on those really important stages. And then the other big thing that I think we're really hoping to come out of this is that when you align all of your systems and you have a true understanding of your marketing tech stack and your admissions tech stack, you can really start to track and attribute all of your marketing and advertising activity. So you can attribute perhaps from the first click of a particular advert within a particular tactic that's played out on perhaps Facebook, and track that all the way through straight into your CRMs into enrolment. So then you can really attribute ROI on not just your applications or your campaigns or your enrolments, but also perhaps on the full life cycle of a student. So if you can really understand that, then you can really start to budget strategically. And that's when you can get really smart about how to do your strategic planning. So that's a really cool thing that comes out of being able to understand exactly all the data that you can see across all of your different systems. And then the other cool thing that I think is going to come out of this workshop are some really sort of practical takeaways. We're going to be looking at those choke points and trying to understand what those funnel stages are. And Alex is going to be working with all the attendees to create some student journey maps so that you can really start to understand for your own institution what are the frameworks that we use when we work with our clients and with universities and colleges across the world, to really understand where students are accessing your brand, what messages are they receiving at those particular points, and what journey do they take all the way through from that first contact point all the way through to enrolment. And how can you make sure that your communications and messaging is really hitting the mark at each step? So that's a really nice thing that everybody that attends this workshop will be able to have and take away with them.
Okay, nice. I mean, it sounds like it's going to change the world, to be honest. It sounds like if I asked you what could come out of your workshop, you've given me all the learning objectives, to be honest, I'd expect to get from the whole conference. I mean, I guess at the moment, universities have tried so many new and different ways to engage with their students, especially over the past 6 months, that this time at the moment is really a time to reflect and re-strategize. So I guess looking at the return on investment from your different activities is a pretty key part of that process.
Yeah, it's crucial, right? So there's a whole world of uncertainty, whether you're a student, whether you're working in marketing or admissions or student support at the moment. And in a world where you are surrounded by uncertainty, I suppose having something that is certain, or so that you can understand what impact your work is having on not just like the bottom line of your activity and return on investment, but you know the opportunities that you're giving to students, or the opportunity to enroll at your institution, and being able to really track that and work out what works and what messaging is landing, or which ad is reaching the right demographic that you're trying to target, which making sure that the courses that you're offering is meeting the student demand, is so important. And being able to go back as a head of marketing, to go back to your director, or perhaps your vice chancellors, or your finance directors, and to be able to speak in the language that they speak in, which is return on investment, revenue generation. What impact does your activity have on those things? And to be able to say to them, look, we've got some real challenges coming up. We've got to grow into these markets or grow into these areas. And your finance director is going to say to you, well, what do you need from me in terms of a budget to be able to make this happen? And if you can go and turn around and say, look, I can track through return on investment all the way through to your enrolled student, because your advertising is plugging straight into your CRM, and you can see that because you can see your whole tech stack, then you'll be able to go back and use really strategic budgeting methods such as zero-based marketing budgeting, and annualization, and be able to say to them, this is what I need to achieve these goals, and this is the investment that you need to be able to do that in 2021, 2022 and going forward. So it's yeah, I'm not sure in an hour that everybody will get there, but we're going to give you the framework to be able to do it, and all the resources you need to sort of reflect on that, and have those conversations with your directors.
Fantastic. And I guess that's what the whole conference is about. I mean, curated is a very fancy word, but we're going to roll with it. That's the way I've kind of curated the conference sessions, and the way as, you know, Unibuddy as a team, we've put this event together, because by sharing those resources and best practices with each other, I think it might sound cheesy, but it's true, as a community in higher ed, I think we're stronger together. So hopefully that session and all of the other sessions throughout the day will really help attendees to share their ideas with, not just with other universities, but with other businesses and organizations, to really work together on having those best outcomes and resources readily available for your students. And I guess it's particularly timely because Unibuddy and Akero have recently partnered, haven't we? So Rich and I have been on a lot of calls together, but working on lots of exciting stuff together now and in the future as well.
Yeah, lots of exciting projects coming forward. So yeah, it's brilliant to be doing that.
Fab. And I do think it's not the only session you're involved in, your workshop. So Murray from the US kind of net natives arm of your organization, he's also joining us for one of our panel sessions. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, he's working on sharing some insights that we've had from diversity research, and he's on the panel called, I believe, Achieving True Diversity and Representation in Your Higher Ed Marketing. And this is something that we at Natives and Akero feel so passionately about. We are on our own journey as a business, and how we support students through our own student website, Student Hut, and how we understand how best to support those students, and how we can get those students to tell us and tell our clients and tell the sector how best they need supported. So we've run a number of research projects. One is around how students feel about the advertising that they see and representation, and and this kind of quite depressing statistic that 1 in 5 students still never feel represented in advertising. Less than 1 in 3 students feel that their ethnicity is represented in advertising, and quite shockingly, 3 in 5 students don't feel that universities are representing them. So we've done quite a meaty research project where we've panelled over 700 students to sort of help instruct us and instruct the sector about what they want to see from universities and creatives in terms of diversity and representation and inclusion in advertising. And it's so important right now, not just because universities are sort of at the heart of this great big important cultural movement, but also just because brands that are representative and diverse tend to be successful as well. And off the top of my head, I'm thinking of recently Nike and Dove and Dr. Martens, and all these brands that really embrace diversity and inclusion tend to be successful and tend to have more impactful campaigns. And so there's a whole load of research in there that Murray's going to be sharing. And also we've recently done a deep dive focus group with students around how they feel about the Black Lives Matter movement and how universities have, I suppose, responded to that. And it can be quite surprising and shocking, and I kind of hope it is, because there's a whole load of data and insights in there about how students from the Black community perhaps feel that universities aren't supporting them at this time, and I think that's really important. And we're going to hopefully translate that into actions that marketing teams can take to overcome perceived barriers. So there'll be some outcomes there as well, I hope.
Fab. And for anyone who's interested in attending that session, that's taking place at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on our main stage, and is hosted by the wonderful Kevin, one of our customer success managers at Unibuddy. And Murray, as Rich said, the Chief Growth Officer at Net Natives, will be joined by one of our colleagues, Jamila, who is a social media manager at Old Dominion University, and Cherie, who's the Director of Student Diversity and Inclusion at Columbia College in Chicago. So I think a panel all with really different experiences and research to bring to the table. But yeah, I mean, Rich, those sessions sound fantastic. I'm sure you'll be tuning in live for our whole event.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So 1 week from now, 20th of October, from 4 a.m. till 10 p.m. UK time. But if you have a look online at our agenda, you can check out which sessions we're airing while you're awake, even if I'm awake the whole time. But yeah, the link to book is in the comments, and thank you so much for joining us today, Rich.
Oh no, thanks for having me.
No worries, and we'll see you at the event.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.